EG's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. EG's turn to pick. Radiant team pick.
Lich.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick. EG.
Tiny.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
And welcome back, everyone, to game number 2 between Complexity and Evil Genius. Complexity taking game number 1 towards the end in a convincing manner.
Team ban.
Very well played there from two heroes, and specifically Z-Freak and Moo, in my opinion. I'm Reddit. Joining me is Halberd. Halberd, what did you think of game 1?
Hey, good to be back. Yeah, I think the first matchup was somewhat a case of, EG probably having their best game and Complexity just looking a lot sharper, particularly in the team fights. Remaining. Where it was all a bit chaotic. In the end, Complexity were able to make the most of their opportunities and take it quite convincingly in the end, I think. But don't write off EG by any means necessary. I do think that this is a side that has proven in the past they're very, very capable, and I wouldn't be too surprised if they take this matchup and even the third one. So right now, though, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. We do see the age-old IO Tiny combination coming out from Complexity very early on here. I'm excited to see that. I mean, IO games are generally exciting because you get to see more fights, and who doesn't love a little bit of action in the Dota games. But the IO was on the losing side last time, so it's obviously not quite as sure a thing as it may have been in the past. Let's see if Complexity can do a better job than EG did.
Well, if we have a look at the bans coming out here, I mean, it's Veno once again being banned out. This time the Nature's Prophet instead of the Spirit Breaker. So it's always one or the other that actually get banned out. But I'm quite surprised that Spirit Breaker wasn't picked up here, up for Evil Geniuses. However, with the IO Tiny there, you don't necessarily, I mean, the Spirit Breaker sure can keep tabs on them, but you have to be careful because it's going to be the IO Tiny jumping you the whole time. However, with a Lich on the map as well, picking up an IO Tiny is... to be honest, very dangerous, because if you relocate in and there's no creeps around you, you are dead 100% guaranteed.
I mean, it would certainly be funny to see. I don't know if we're going to get to enjoy such spectacle, but I would certainly love to see such a thing.
I can guarantee we are going to see one of those. Because, Complexity like playing aggressive. They like actually roaming around the map and, basically trying to catch someone off guard. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a hero like a Nyx Assassin or something being picked up here for the side of Complexity as well. Just to give them that extra vision. Have the Nyx Assassin scoping around, going in for a quick pick-off with his Vendetta, Tiny and Io coming in. It will all come down to the Lich and how much experience or what the Lich can actually do in regards with keeping in position, waiting for the Io Tiny to come in. And I actually want that. I want that Lich chain for us coming in and just bouncing between the two, going crazy. It makes for good clips.
Yeah, why not, right? Just looking back at the draft again, do you see the Underlord actually banned out by EG this time? So a little bit of a respect ban as well. It's certainly not one of the most picked heroes in Dota at the moment, but obviously Complexity were able to make it work very, very well for them. So no surprises there, really seeing EG looking to mix things up, not really give them the opportunity to have such a global presence. But yeah, I'm quite keen on this kunkka as well. I'm a big fan of kunkkas, especially when playing that support role and able to get some really interesting plays off. But what is also interesting about this is it's really nice against the IO as well, because you can somewhat expect that if you catch a hero off guard, especially one that's farming in a lane by itself, and it's of course a core, you would expect that the IO is in the bushes somewhere just waiting to tether him to safety. Obviously, in this case, you have X marks the spot, bring him back into the fray and be like, well, you're not getting out this time, and potentially pick yourself up a nice IO treat as well. So I think it's a nice pickup here. See if they can make it work.
Well, having the Jakiro there, setting up a good tiny stun toss combo as well, getting the ice pulse down. I feel like there's a lot of control coming in from Complexity. The problem is you're up against a Magnus and a Kunkka and a Lich. This is Wombo combo time. This is Wombo gaming.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you get caught in that combination of those three alone, you're probably pretty dead. I mean, a lot of people underestimate the amount of damage that Kunkka's Ghost can actually do, but the Coco Random Express is certainly not a skill that you want to be caught in if you're an opposing player. And obviously, it's the dream, right? Everyone picks Lich and they're praying for that opportunity where they get two heroes just caught standing next with one another and manage to get off a nice little double kill there. But they do certainly have the heroes that can make that work for them. And I got to say as well is that, up against IO, you want to reach a point in the game where you're not allowing the pick-off opportunity to occur by having your team group up as 5 and cause a lot of damage. And these are certainly heroes that would love to team fight and love to get in your face. So no surprises so far in this draft. It would be nice to see what they pull this up with. I mean, you get obviously a lot of heroes that love getting their hands onto that natural cleave coming out from the Magnus. And I guess it's just a wealth of opportunities for Evil Geniuses to pick up, since none of those heroes that we traditionally see have been banned out just yet. So it's up to them what they'd like to see. But the Bloodseeker also quite a nice pickup here as well. It's a very frustrating team fight combination to work around. Very big AoE silence. And obviously, just as any pub player knows, it's a real pain to deal with.
Yeah, the thing about the Bloodseeker, especially up against a Kunkka and a Magnus, sure, Magnus can actually blink in, but just dropping down that Blood Right, as soon as a team fight starts, sort of stops any forward momentum from EG. Of course, they have a Jakiro that has an Ice Path, Macropyre that can do the same. I really like this draft coming up from, Complexity side. Sure, it's up against a very dangerous draft at this point, a dangerous combo coming through here from EG. But the problem, once again, here is the Magnus has a very long cooldown ultimate. Kunkka the same, Lich the same, especially early on. Versus Complexity, they don't necessarily rely on their ultis as much. It's a stun toss combo from Tiny. Sure, there's a Wisp, but the Wisp relocate isn't a big thing there. There's a Jakiro, it's just dual breath and liquid fire the whole time, which slows the team of EG, completely. Bloodseeker also doesn't rely on his ulti, and when he does, it's a very short cooldown. So Complexity here are going to look to put a lot of pressure on the side of EG, work around those ultimate timings, try and force out a couple of ultis. And even if they lose the fight because of massive ultis coming in from EG, they're going to want to counter-engage or just re-engage straight afterwards as soon as they respawn, take a fight again, because it's going to be dangerous, fighting up against Complexity the whole time. And Evil Genius will know that. However, they do have an Ember Spirit and a Magnus in power, and that is quite big.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on your assessment of that, in the sense that, especially in the early stages of the game where your respawn times are quite low, it might be difficult for EG to really capitalize on a big one team fight. But you still can find yourself in a situation where if this game does go late, EG will have a pretty massive advantage in going into the 5-on-5 brawls, assuming that all is equal in this game. But once again, you know, it's one of those interesting situations where you do make a fair point that if EG can't capitalize early on getting some kills and transitioning that into an objective, you may find that Complexity is in fact able to just come back and say like, cool, well, you used up everything, now it's our time to fight against you. And as mentioned, there are in fact the likes of Bloodseeker with low cooldown ultimates and Tiny, who's not reliant on it at all. So we'll see how that pans out. The Lone Druid here is actually quite a nice pickup as well. I feel like it's an interesting one. But you know, as we were talking about exactly that, where you're in a case where you're reliant on ulti as well. Although Lone Druid is certainly reliant on this bear, which can have a hefty cooldown if you caught your pants down, is the kind of thing that likes to keep on fighting. But more importantly, it's something that can pick up objectives quite quickly. And if you do get a couple of impales going onto him, you can also clear down the likes of a tier 1 tower, tier 2 tower pretty early on in the early stages of the matchup. So we'll see how that works out. I think that it's going to be two very different looking lineups going up against each other, regardless of what Complexity you take to round things off here. But certainly you have a case where one side is completely based around pickoffs. You have the Io Tiny combination with that Bloodseeker as well in the mix. They want to find those heroes that are by themselves, pick something off, and then go into an objective. And particularly if you can get something like the Magnus or the Ember Spirit caught out, it's a really big win for you because, you know, as mentioned, not only will they lose the ability to initiate into a team fight, but they're also, you know, in a position where they're not as good as fighting without their full 5 as you know, Complexity might be fighting 4 versus 4.
While picking up this Legion commander, Legion can duel whenever he wants. Of course, Chessie's there on the Bloodseeker. Limp can just TP in with Z-Freak or relocate in, get a quick kill. This lineup of Complexity looks very dangerous. The one winning factor for the side of EG, in my honest opinion, is the Lone Druid. The Lone Druid bear, the Savage Roar, can actually just split up the side of Complexity and force them out of position. As soon as they're out of position, that's where the Magnus, Kunkka, Ember Spirit, and Lone Druid start becoming very dangerous themselves. So you should look towards RTZ to see how he actually maneuvers the bear, how he's going to try and split up a fight as soon as a fight starts happening with that Savage Roar, to try and get it behind a couple of heroes, use the roar to push heroes towards you and away from the bear as well, so that it sort of splits them in like a 2-2-3 kind of fashion.
Yeah.
Let's see, I mean, you know, this is all theory crafting, keep that in mind. But let's have a look and jump straight back, well, you know, straight into the game. I think this is going to be a very interesting one. Sumail, of course, is on more of a Sumail-esque hero, in my opinion, on the Ember Spirit. Universe running the Magnus, offlane Magnus, and Ortiz, of course, on the Lone Druid. Very tanky heroes here coming up for EG. And just put that on top of the Lich Ice Armor. It's going to be very difficult for, you know, Complexity towards the later stages of the game as soon as a lot of armor items start coming up. But the early stage, the Bloodseeker, the Legion, hopefully the Legion can get a couple of, you know, duels off early on, get that rolling, as well as the Tiny. Early and mid game, that's where Complexity wants to start, you know, snowballing. Late game, looking at the two drafts, I think EG has this.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to the point where you can really capitalize off one team fight, I tend to agree. But yeah, time will tell to see how this all plays out. But I do also have to wonder like where the two sides are sitting in their mentality of approaching this game. Obviously, Complexity will have the tails up after winning their first round up against these guys, and a match that they may have considered themselves going into the underdogs. But it's actually interesting to see like that if EG win this, they're likely to win the third one. I feel because it'll kind of shatter the spirits of Complexity in a big way. But yeah, it's a case of, you know, can Complexity just run with this? If they win this 2-0, it's not just this match that they win, it's a huge bolster to their team spirit and how they might go into further matches down the line. So it'll be interesting. As far as like what these players might be thinking about from the first game, particularly on the EG as well, you know, it's kind of the case where you have such an experienced lineup, and this is where I think somebody like Fear really comes into you know, a very big stride of his own, where you can
Dota.
Yeah, he's been here before. He's seen this 1,000 times before, and I think most of the EG players, of course, would have found themselves down against it time and time again and been able to pick themselves up. So I don't think they'll be too tilted, but you know, you never know what else is going on in the camp at the same time. So let's see how they all manage to pick themselves up in this one.
Well, Z-Freak and Limp moving up here towards the middle lane. They are smoked up. It's just a casual, you know, second zero smoke, move in, get a couple of wards down, make sure that no one flanks you from the trees, no one scouts you out, and it's going to be quite interesting to actually see how EG is going to deal with the early game aggression coming up from Complexity, if we look at their draft specifically. I'm not talking about, you know, they might not play that way, but they draft wants to. Their draft wants to, around the 15-16 minute, jump you, get kills, start steamrolling from that, put pressure on you, get map advantage, and try and starve you. But with the Magnus and Power as well as this Ember Spirit, getting a couple of stacks off, are we going to see a Battle Fury Ember Spirit coming up here with the Magnus and Power, or do you think it's just going to be a standard Veil Mage World Ember?
I get the feeling that it may be the Mage Bull Ember. I do think they have quite a bit of right-click damage potentially coming through from the likes of the Lone Druid, but then again, it makes more sense, I guess, if you're gonna move up with the Cleave, get your physical damage out. So we'll see what they go for. I mean, obviously the Lich as well as, I think, a very underestimated amount of damage you get out from the likes of Torrent as well as the Ghost Ship. They're not reliant on either one, and perhaps as the game progresses, they'll see which, like very early on, be able to make that call posted right off the bat. But I'm really glad to see dual lanes mid again. It's one of my favorite things in the game, but this is an interesting one. I think Lich is one of those heroes that tends to go to mid generally quite often anyways, just to deny some creep experience. And with the change we've seen in the past, where you get a lot more experience in this middle lane, it's obviously going to be even more painful for dual lane to play up against this, because if you do get to a position where your opponents are just that much higher against you, especially when you're relying on your stun toss damage to bring down the Ember Spirit, get up behind a Flame Guard, you may find yourself a little bit toothless.
But have a look at Z-Freak. He's constantly standing here very close to the tower, letting Limp run in forward. Limp does have a level and toss, so sure, the Lich is going to be there, going to be denying, getting the ice armor up, but if Sumail overextends, Limp is just going to toss Sumail all the way back onto the tower.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a disconcerting moment if you're either of those two mid players. I'm pretty sure that your Lich in particular probably would get a bit of a heart attack now. He's a little bit older these days, so he may not appreciate it. But then again,
you see wraparound coming in from Crit right now. They actually want to go in for Z-Freak or Limp, and there you go. There's going to be onto Limp. Who's going to get the first blood here? Is it actually going to be onto Limp right now? Limp is being healed up by so much. That's the perks of having that Wisp in that middle lane.
Yeah, so Z-Freak already coming in handy there, but the problem with there as well is that he didn't have any levels of overcharge or anything, so he couldn't bring down his own HP, so he was only able to do a limited amount of healing too early on. But obviously that'll just get better as time goes on. And once again, it's one of those cases where, Kunkka is, Crit has to make something of these rotations. You can obviously pick up some bounty runes, find experience that way, but obviously his bread and butter right now is to just be invasive into these lanes, cause some damage, and find some experience via hero kills. So he'll be a little bit sad he didn't get to see that first blood pop.
Z-Freak does manage to bottle up an Invis rune here. He will, however, scout out Crit. And, I mean, I don't think any of them can actually kill the other one, especially with an Invis rune. Although Crit is doing quite a bit of damage, he does have boots up. But Z-Freak will just tether himself away.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit helpful that it happened, since he is now able to get that heal off onto Tiny a little bit more effectively. So, maybe doing a bit of a favor, but you never pass up a bit of free damage, right? Crit's also going to find himself bounty rune, so he'll be happy with that. But still only level 1, would love to get involved in the kill, as we said. Top lane as well, this Legion Commander, actually, could be quite a bit of a problem for RDS later on, because, as soon as you can get to that level 6 and you get the IO duel up as well, that's a really menacing combo. It's really not nice for anyone to have to deal with, and the likes of Alone...
Where do you think the first blood's going to come from?
I feel like it's going to be mid lane, especially with the Kunkka running around. You're going to get that one engagement, and either you're going to get too much damage onto, whilst trying to get at the kill as the aggressive team, and the rotation comes to get it, or obviously that rotation pays off.
I mean, if you have a look at the top lane, Moo's also taking quite a bit of damage here. Keep in mind it is up against a Lone Druid, and if the Lone Druid can get 1 or 2 lucky hits off, it might actually come from top, but Crit is here towards the middle lane, once again, still level 1, only has a Torrent. Do they have enough damage to actually kill him? Well, with the Ember Spirit, I mean, he doesn't have Searing Chains either, keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's one of the massive problems against laning against an Eye, right? So the age-old issue is that it makes it very hard to bring down your opponent. And one has to bear in mind that, don't underestimate...
Oh, it's going to be first blood? No, top lane. Arteezy nearly getting it up here onto Moon narrowly escaping. And still no first blood, 3 minutes into the game. 22 and 4 up here for Sumail mid. So Sumail's actually doing okay. 22 and 4 versus 19 and 3.
Yeah, I think we saw in the previous match as well that EG came off a little bit better in the lane trade, but bottom lane they actually might catch out Universe here. Could be in a bit of trouble.
I do think this is going to be first blood right now. Chessie, oh, unfortunately, Universe. I don't know how that actually managed to catch Chessie out, but first blood on the bottom lane. Hey, I didn't miss first blood again.
Excellent work, Rins. I mean, hey, you know, he went for a little bit of a ride as well. Let's enjoy the experience, and of course, means
Middle lane, it is sumail here versus Limp. Limp goes in for the toss. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. sumail manages to actually get that kill. It isn't going to be Fear that just nukes it. A 4-hero rotation mid just to make sure that they get those 2 heroes. I still feel it's worth it. It just gives sumail that little bit extra in the lane as well. He was already leading in regards with last hits, and now that minute 5 is up, he's just going to heal up 100% on the shrine, get back into lane. And this is a very good start up here for sumail.
Yeah, I also want to point out that the rotation from Universe isn't what that bad as would be from an offlaner just moving. Oh, holy, I might actually get more out of this. No, looks like they just settle for some harassment in the end. But he actually was at the time not really able to go into lane as the creep wave was fairly heavily pushed down at the time. So he actually got more out of the deal just by moving, getting involved and then picking up the kill himself. And you know, by the time he was done, he was able to come back to lane and pick up some experience as the creep wave by then had pushed in.
Well, here's a toss. It's quite interesting that Limp didn't, well, you know, he just went for a single toss, not trying to toss him all the way back onto Z-Freak. I'm still waiting for that, like, stun toss onto the tower.
I really hope you get it. It's like you've been holding out for this for a while now. So let's hold
like
thumbs.
Always in the perfect position. sumail gets stunned and then he just gets tossed up and down instead of tossed back. But the problem is every time sumail gets stunned, he's right on top of creep. So Limp can't really, you know, make sure every time that he tosses sumail. If sumail is off by his side, of course that's easy. But yeah, I think sumail's positioning is just good, making sure he's always by the creep so that there is no toss back, because of course Limp can't just select him to toss it back onto the tower. He just has to select someone, or you know, just select himself, and then he might just toss the creep on the back.
Yeah, fair enough. Nice work as well, just by the way, just going out for RTZ in the top lane, just already getting as much as possible out of this. Legion commanders are generally like they're irritating offlaner to deal with, as they can do quite a bit of damage and just to sustain the heaven lane.
1v1 offlaners.
Yeah, so you know, I think the fact that he's 14-3 at this stage is like really good. So definitely case that you have this lone druid coming off quite well in this top lane for the time being. But once again, this is a high hit 6 story. He is level 4 now, so you have to start getting a little bit worried.
The root coming up onto Moo. Moo, of course, going for 2 levels up and press the attack just to make sure that he can actually survive the roots that are coming through from the lone druid. But only 3 kills so far, 7 minutes into the game. Net worth quite heavily favoring Chessie at this point, 3,200. And looking at the last hit, he's also sitting on 41.
Yeah, this is his drop shop as well now, so he's sort of expecting to get a little bit of action. He might even, oh, he thought about it. Universe.
I saw him lifting up his hand.
Yeah, he's just raising him up. Hey buddy, I have this skill, I want to use it. Never nice sitting on Rupture, right? You just want to Rupture everything, go a little bit ham, run around the map and cause a lot of pain for everybody, but obviously not too keen on picking that fight just yet. And there is in fact a crit in the sidelines as well, so it's a very hard kill for Blood to get by himself.
Yep. Looking at the top lane, coL actually went top just to try and help out the Legion commander, just get a little bit more, as well as just stealing the bounty runes top. I did see the lone druid constantly sending his bear all the way around just to pick up those bounty runes, make sure he actually gets them. Yeah, they can't even kill the bear. The roar is just there every single time that they get close, and the bear will probably just be sent back all the way to base and build up. Oh, or just resummoned completely.
Yeah, there you go. Like a new hero, right?
Well, Limp, sitting on level 6, he is rushing straight in for a Blink Dagger, so they want to be aggressive early. They want to go in for, you know, the burst kind of tiny build, instead of just pacing it out, getting your boots up, getting Echo Saber up, getting Aghanim Scepter up. He wants to get that Blink. He wants to be able to jump and just get those quick bursts in and out, and hopefully start snowballing from there, building into right click afterwards.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is that he is up against a lineup that it is a little bit, I wouldn't really call it a squishy lineup per se, but certainly it's a lineup that becomes quite frustrating for Heroes later on.
Oh, there's the RP coming through as well as a chain frost straight onto the Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker's still alive, however. He does manage to cast his Blood Rift as well as his ultimate, and he might actually survive from this. Nope, the X-Box spot is going to secure him.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Yeah,
attack.
a little bit of misplay there by Universe, just securing beyond him, but in the end, there was a nice kill there. And an important one as well, is, as you mentioned, he was in fact just before that top of the net worth. So I think that's the kind of kill that they desperately need as well. And once again, like, this is the lineup that's it's kind of a time bomb, because once again, that IO is still quite a low level, but the moment you get to that 6, you're going to see a lot of aggression coming out from coL, and this tiny as well, since he is getting a huge amount of the experience being basically set aside for him alone, he's going to have the levels to really do a lot of nuke damage. And once again, that's when you're going to see the likes of that Lone Druid who just naturally wants to spend time by himself in the jungle. And
wants to go in right now. They do manage to get the Sharing Chain onto the Jakiro. The stun coming through here from Limp, however, does manage to catch Crit as well as Sumail. And will they be able to get a toss back? Unfortunately, no. They're focusing here onto the towers, making sure that they actually get that. Sumail might be in a bit of trouble right now. He does not have an ultimate up, but of course, well, he actually did have a remnant up. They do manage to actually get out of that one alive, but I did hear a Bloodseeker ultimate coming through, and that is going to be onto Sumail. They do manage to get the kill. They want to go in for more. Crit is going to be the double kill up here for Chessie, and Chessie turns around, goes on to Fear. Unfortunately, Fear is dead. Z-Freak was tossed from the other side of the map. That's That's exactly what Complexity want to do.
Oh yeah, that is really huge, and Io was around for all of that as well, so he picked up about level almost in experience as well, so he's getting very, very close to that level 6 now. And I gotta say, just a little bit of credit to the Bloodseeker there as well, if just hanging on to his blood right, sticking onto the far side, catching out a couple of the EG players, and obviously being able to connect with the eruption was pretty handy, and it's a big important kill, and it looks like there's a little bit more action happening in the top lane as the Jakiro is not long for this world.
I've been following the Jakiro as he moved all the way around here, all the way around there. I'm just like, why are you still here, buddy?
Radiant's bottom tower.
The long walk to freedom.
He was just exploring, wanted to see if there's any map changes or anything.
Ooh, this is new. Hey, there's a new tree. I didn't know about that.
I would be pretty alarmed if that was the case, to be perfectly honest, but I was a little bit curious. I think he just got pushed off the side. There was actually a Kunkka in this round from early on towards the shrine.
Yeah.
So yeah, no doubt he just found himself in a lose-lose situation. Decided to take everyone on a bit of a walk. Probably the best way out of that than just speeding up the kill.
One big thing though is Arteezy is busy farming up and actually catching up quite nicely, but here's a smoke coming up here from the side of EG. However, the Radiant actually used the scan and managed to scan everything out there. And here you go, Sumail wants to go in. They do manage to go onto the Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker does get turreted up as well. Bloodseeker might actually drop from this, and it is going to be Universe. He uses the RP just to secure the kill. Fear also just dropping down his Chain Frost. But here comes Limp in with the relocate up on Z-Freak. Are we going to see any kind of stun toss combo? It's just going to be a single toss. Unfortunately, Mu did not manage to do anything, and this is going very bad for the side of Complexity. Dying 3 times, getting 3 deaths there, and EG just outplaying the side of coL.
Yeah, it was really well done by EG just to hold in over. They saw the IO relocate and didn't panic at all, just turned their attention to it. And you saw immediately, they were actually on top of the Ember, but nice use of Sleight of Fist, just getting away from the initial burst damage. Made it so they couldn't really do a huge amount. And Lich actually was ruptured at the start of the fight as well. So even though he was mobile, the fact that he was able to just walk it off is quite a nice win for Fear. And I think this is one of the cases where you see them not really taking huge objectives off it, but the big thing, of course, is that they've managed to group up early on, deal with the IO relocate. It was the first one of the game, I think, and obviously that's just going to bring up their spirits as well a little bit, and they'll feel comfortable going into this one. Nice rotation as well by the Lone Druid early on. Got to also point that out. He was in there. Yeah.
What do you do up against the Wisp Tiny? You split up so that he can't do anything to anyone except for a single target hero, and you make sure you don't stand on top of him so then he can't stun you.
Yeah, and when they're targeting the Lich as well, it's pretty much the perfect situation. They're charging in after a sport and just running in deep into the lines. You can do a lot of damage just on the engage. In the end, pretty simple victory there for EG. Once again, you'd expect like later on they'll be in a position where if they get that exact kind of team fight 10 minutes from now, they'll be able to really punish with the Lone Druid.
Yeah, and this Magnus has not been shy just to use RPs and single heroes. Fear as well up on the Lich. I mean, they literally just say, well, there's a single hero, let's just blow it. And we mentioned this before to say, sure, they have long cooldowns. If you have a look at the Magnus RP, it is 2 minutes, 120 seconds. If you have a look at the Lich ulti, it's 100 seconds. The problem is, you know, Complexity are allowing them to play around those ultis. They're allowing them to play around the big team fight ultimates coming through. Instead of, hey, there's no ultis, let's take a tower.
Top tower is under attack.
Hey, there's no ultis, let's smoke up, let's take a fight. They're trying to out-farm and play the farming game up against a Lone Dread, a Kunkka, Ember Spirit. I think currently, you know, Complexity are playing into EG's hands right now.
I also want to point out something about the warding situation, by the way. If you look towards the neutrals, towards the off lane, you'll notice that there is a very deep ward there. That's obviously placed for the IO to get an opportunity to find that pick off with the Tiny. But what's more interesting is that if you look at the warding from EG at the moment, they're super aggressive, and they're the side that is clearly very keen to take the fight to them. So it's just obviously showing a lot of confidence that they feel like they're the ones that are ahead in the driving seat. Now, if you look at the net worth at the moment, it's really not a huge amount. You know, they've won the last team fight, but they've already dropped a little bit behind us.
Same as game 1, 1,000 one way, 1,000 the other.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, just the fact that they're playing with that sort of confidence, and they're looking for those kills, they're trying to play positive Dota, bring down your opponent opposed to, you know, wait for them to make mistakes. Obviously, very, very positive from their side.
Tower is under attack.
Well, Magnus slowly but surely working his way up towards the Blink Dagger. We'll have it around 550 gold. I think this is going to be a big key item for the side of EG if they can utilize this, get a couple of smokes down. Having Universe there in the front line, keep in mind, he does have backup with the Lone Dread Bear with the ultimate coming through from the Kunkka, the coco Rum, as well as the Torrent. They have enough heroes to front line as well as having that Ledger Cord just to give them extra armor. I think as soon as that Blink Dagger is up, we might just see EG start moving around as 4 heroes, you know, trying to force Complexity out of position.
No, fair enough. I also think that it's a little bit surprising. Well, actually, I think we will also the Blink Dagger in a second here onto Mu as well. So I really feel like this is one of those opportunities where, you know, Legion Commander can just get out of control in a big way. But they haven't really utilized that just yet. So I expect we'll see that very, very soon as well, especially with once again that Blink Dagger should be up. I mean, I assume he's walking into the shop right now. And then you have a huge amount of very quick engage with pretty much nothing that a single hero can do to defend himself against it.
Well, there's a Blink Dagger up on Mu, there's a Blink Dagger up here on the Tiny as well on Limp, so they do have the jump potential currently for the side of Complexity. The problem is they aren't utilizing it, they're just farming, they're trying to out-farm the side of
under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I mean, this is actually pretty interesting because we're speaking a little bit about the warding position, how EG would be playing with a lot of confidence, but you can see the respect they're showing to this lineup already. I mean, you just have a Jakiro smashing down your pure tower and pretty much soloing it at the moment. And zero response to it. Obviously, they're trying to make as much work as possible as they farm up their own ancients. But, you know, 3 towers are never nice to give up, and obviously just a lot of respect being paid to the type of lineup they're playing against.
Yep. Have a look at this Magnus and Power currently sitting, you know, 4 levels skilled up into this. This is, of course, helping out his entire team, helping out the Kunkka farming if he's if he's ever close, helping out the Ember Spirit. It's free battle for you. Ember has gone for the Veil of Discord, building up towards his route of travel, and yeah, there you go. Empower is up onto the Kunkka, and the splash damage coming through here, especially with that Tidebringer, is actually a decent amount of damage. I never actually thought about that, you know. Sure, any melee here with a Empower on is good, but having that extra 85 damage bonus on the Tidebringer, especially as the Kunkka, as the game gets later on, as the Kunkka starts getting possibly Shadowblade after the drums, it's going to do a lot of damage, a lot of initial burst damage onto the side of Complexity as well.
Yeah. Also, I just want to point out, Smoke Tent here came out from coL. They didn't look like they were too certain where they wanted to go on the map. Top lane though, okay.
Yeah. I literally caught as that last hit went through.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent control, and that should mean that they will get a nice tier 1. But good response to your control. They've gone straight on mid lane, and they're already playing pressure. They've also picked up the bear for their efforts, and that tier 2 is already down, so maybe just toss a Liquefier into that, walk away. I'm probably happy with that.
Yep. It's a 1-for-1, well, not a 1-for-1 trade-off, but the bear dying is actually a 1-for-1 trade-off. We do manage to get that, but let's have a look here at the Blink in problem. He did go in, got the kill onto the Kunkka, so that's actually quite big. Now Tiny, are they actually going to be able to counter-engage? They're going to be running straight in onto Sabel right now. Sabel, there's the RP, but unfortunately the RP's not to high ground. A lot of damage being done here. Chessy is busy running away. He might actually escape from this. He has a lot of haste. Busy running through, and here comes the duel. This is going to be the first duel victory here for the Legion Commander. There it is. It's a 3-for-1 trade-off in favor of Complexity. This is not what... Oh, wait, no, they actually want more. They want more. Chessie wants more. There's no more heroes up on sideline. Oh, Chessie, the jukes! The jukes! This has to be mean, guys. This has to be clipped. What a juke coming through. And still no mana, so he's probably just going to try and run away. Oh, no. Chessie... Oh, no, wait. That's just Z3 coming in. I thought someone else. Never mind. I got a little bit confused.
It's a friendly IO this time, Reddit.
The friendly IO.
Just get to aid in a bit.
Yeah.
A really good fight for them once more from coL. They're just capitalizing so well on every mistake that EG make. Obviously, crit immediately tossed down the ghost ship very early on in that fight. And obviously we saw it was a little bit of an awkward scenario with Magnus getting the RP off, but then actually clipping his opponents, which made it a little bit harder for any consistent damage to be put off. And then, well, Stas combination comes through with the rupture attached to him. It's never going to end well for you at that point. So coL just playing very nicely. And I think, you know, it feels like they are in fact starting to find their stride in a very nice way here. And once again, we see the map control starting to go their way with an extra little bit of... I mean, really the mid lane is the big one where you have 2 towers against nothing, opening up quite a large section of the map for them to operate in. But EG are smoking up. Let's see if they can make something of this.
I mean, they still have a couple of ultis up. They still have the Lich ulti up. And I don't think Complexity will actually be ready for any kind of fight right now. You know, they've just taken a big fight. They're like, okay, no, we're okay. But here we go, going straight in onto coL. And yeah, coL is just going to get completely demolished.
Yeah, almost out. And
no.
Not quite.
Just a big fat nope. However, top lane, you know, Complexity, they are busy pushing up this top tier 2. They're trying to do as much damage as possible. The Aghanim Scepter is there. Are we just gonna, yeah, bully straight into the Soldiers, not going for any sneaky shenanigans or... wait, Z3 might actually be in trouble right now. Universe goes in and just blows them up with a quick shockwave.
And it looks like the Tiny will manage to find his way out safely in the end. But I do want to point out as well, there was a lot of damage that was put out onto that tower as well, just with the combination of Legion, Commanders, press the attack, and, you know, Tiny with an Aghanim Scepter. So it's something that EG have to be very aware of, because obviously you can get punished pretty heavily, and it is more structures down. And they're on the side of Nion, so they want to make sure that they can keep as much of their towers up as possible, otherwise that map can start shrinking pretty quickly. Our RP goes up towards the Ancients as well, as they're going to do a lot of damage to Chase. Can they finish the job? He does in fact use the Shadow Blade, but he will be caught out by the literal the same. And now Moog comes back, and wants piece will actually finish with the bear. They're controlling this fight really well from the backlines at the moment. Blade Mail already popped, so he's lost a lot of his damage early on, and it looks like they want a piece of this. Mail goes back in with M through the front lines, but wants to bring down Z3. Stays alive for the time, being on the backlines. The fight rages on though, as they do manage to bring down the crit Kunkka. Smil wants out though, or does he? He goes back and gets dueled up as well, and Limp on the side and doesn't have enough mana to really contribute a huge amount, but should be enough to finish the job. Didn't quite get the win there, but they will get the win for that team fight in the end, I believe.
However, that did cost them a buyback here from the side of Complexity. Is that? Yeah, that was a buyback up on the Bloodseeker. And they're going to try and at least push for a tier 2 tower here. Getting a couple of kills is all good and well, but you need a little bit more objectives, especially if one of your cores buys back. Yeah, I mean, that's a very fair point, and it looks like the team that's in front of once more is they're doing just that. They're looking for some structures and get equipped with the very last. So that is on 1 HP. That was close, guys, but in the end, results in the same thing. You're going to lose that tier 1 tower on the bottom lane, and once more, just bringing down all I don't think it's entirely uncommon. It's... Oh, well, there's a blink in forward straight onto Kunkka. Kunkka just gets blown up at Universe. Blinks in forward, does get a skewer off, but the X is there onto Limp to actually protect him. A dual victory coming through here for the Legion Commander, and this is going to be 2 heroes down as well as a tier 2 tower.
And the push continues. I mean, Complexity look like they are on an unstoppable streak in this series so far. Look at the aggression.
For Limp. He wants to go in forward, but unfortunately he might have just overextended, and he might... Well, is he going to get out? Z-Freak, unfortunately, does not have a relocate to save his life. Z-Freak's also going to drop there. Very aggressive play, and Universe blinks it forward, gets a skewer back onto cow. Gets a triple kill here for Arteezy, and Arteezy will be smiling all the way back to the bank.
Might be a little bit more in it, by the way. They haven't in fact caught out Chessie here. He did Shadow Blade up, but did they have a reveal from him?
He is dusted up already, and it's just going to be a couple of life kills. Now, ultra kill coming up here for Arteezy. Okay. Well,
That-
if you're a little bit behind, just ask for an ultra kill, and if you get one, I mean, why not?
And Roshan as well. So they pick up a huge objective. Potentially could use this immediately to press onto that mid tower. They'll probably back off, I imagine. Although there's still 30 seconds before this Bloodseeker's up and running, so I think then there's a fair opportunity to just go straight in after this tier 1 tower middle.
Yeah, but I mean,
Really, really awesome play by EG there, just to capitalize in such a big way of like a very aggressive play from coL.
Complexity did
Radiant's
extremely
middle
well,
tower
got a
is
couple
under
of kills,
attack.
and then that
Radiant
big
structures
jump in
are
forward from the
fortified.
Tiny, unfortunately, just put him a little bit out of position.
Dire structures
But there you go. Complexity doing some ratty things right now, using a relocator. They want to go in onto the bottom tier 2 tower, and they might actually get a kill here before the relocate is up. Will they be able to do that? Oh yes, they do, and there you go. They managed to get out of this one alive as well. Getting a pick off, getting some chip damage onto tier 3 tower, and getting a kill.
Oh, it's a fantastic response. I mean, I think the damage to the tower may have completely been negated. I took a look at it when they
I
first
think
came
it
up.
was
and
one hit maybe.
Yeah, there was. If there wasn't much of anything, I think they may have been behind backdoor protection. But getting the kill there is so worth it, and that is a Magnus with RP, so it does give you a 30-second window just to operate. Where obviously EG will be a little bit more sensitive about where they're going to be picking their fights. But just the fact that coL playing like this, I mean, look at the aggression. There's no way EG can really expect them to be this aggressive. And some things are coming out, but crits all over.
He actually gets dusted up right now, but there's Lim jumping in straight, trying to go onto crits right now. There's a huge macro fire and ice ball catching up 2 heroes, but unfortunately, Chelsea's going to be the first one to fall. I don't think they'll be able to catch anything other than anyone else. Unfortunately, Wesp does not have another tether, so Z-Freak is in a lot of trouble. 2 heroes down. And Sumel this time getting that double kill.
So that was actually pretty interesting, right? Because there was like a really, I believe it was a smoke rotation. I may be mistaken. There are a couple of shadow blades around, but what actually happened there was they smoked up and it was really aggressive. And I don't think EG expected them to be there, but they shadow bladed underneath these 2 sets of wards, and that just gave EG all the information that they needed. And you saw Crit immediately, eyes lit up, went straight in for that kill, and in the end, did a really good job. Top lane as well, and being caught out here does have some support coming in from Shakira. Very, very low. Can finish the job, doesn't see also helping out here. Finally to bring him down, and looks like they want even more of this, and they should just get that onto the Shakira. Ice Path comes up, full start both, but surely enough to finish the job. No, they're going to back off and respect the TPs coming in.
Duel coming through right now, straight in onto the Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit just gets blown the hell up. Legion Commander, they want 4 or 5 seconds to absorb Blink, but no, they just go straight onto the shrine, make sure that they actually get a couple, a little bit more HP. And the Savage Roar just constantly playing a massive part in all these 2 fights. Chelsea's in a lot of trouble. Chelsea gets skewered back. Arteezy's on a mega kill streak. Cal might be in trouble himself. Will they be able to get this kill? Can they do anything to get out of this? That's going to be a double kill here for Arteezy. The side of Complexity just seem to be falling over their own feet at this point.
Yeah, he's picked up a lot of kills as well in these last couple of fights. At the moment, he's been building fairly. He's got the Mask of Madness up, which obviously gives him a lot of attack damage, but he's got the Linking Sphere up. He's got some defensive items, but now he's got a little bit of free reign. He probably should still consider getting the likes of the BKB. But obviously, not great against multiple heroes. Like, obviously the Rupture doesn't care for that. But at the same time, he's now in a better position to consider going for some more offensive items and really becoming a true damage source for his side. So EG, who looked in all sorts a couple of moments ago, all of a sudden, seemed to be the team with the tails up.
Well, let's have a look at the... I mean, this is sort of exactly the same as in game number 1, with the net worth graph going up and down. However, this time it's taken a significant dive from 3k all the way to around 2.2 in EG's favor. So 5k net worth swing just from 2 fights. EG will be very happy with that. And looking at the experience as well, currently nearly 10,000 in EG's favor. For those fans that wanted to see a game 3 and wanted to see EG actually beating, beating Complexity and going through to the next round, or going through to the winner bracket, final if I'm not mistaken, or semi-final, I'll actually have to look at the... But yeah, top lane, fortunately this is going to be Jakiro, and he just gets... Well, Fear getting the last kill there, or the last hit. That's always nice as a support. When you're 100
who
damage...
doesn't like seeing Fear get a kill, right?
Yeah, when you're 100 damage gets a kill over a low build, I think you'll be okay. Right, Universe is going in for a skewer here. It is... Yeah, they're going to kill Chelsea once again. And Chelsea's not had a good game. Well, he started off very well. But he's just been dying fight after fight. And, he's getting caught out. Sure, he has a Shadow Blade, but they're ready for it. In game number one big thing was they didn't always have vision and they didn't have dust on them the whole time. And every time like anyone would Shadow Blade or go inverse, they would escape. This time EG is just like, nope, we know you have a Shadow Blade, we're just carrying dust on us, and getting a kill every couple of minutes onto Chessie is putting him so far behind, and you don't want to be behind as well. He's been struggling to get this BKB up for quite a while.
Yeah, that's the big thing as well. They've just been controlled so well, but bottom lane, this is an interesting attempt here. I think we may have picked up more than he bargained for.
I mean, this is extremely aggressive. Sure, they have a ward. They have a ward there, but I mean, he should have seen that there was a lot more members of EG there. I'm not quite sure why exactly he would go in that deep. Luckily, he didn't feed any damage off, I don't think. Quickly have a look through all of EG's players. Nope. And currently 30 minutes into the game, only having 38 dual damage when you have the lineup with a Wisp, with a Tiny, with the burst potential coming through. Things are not looking good for the side of Complexity.
I imagine that's exactly it though. He probably was looking... Oh, sorry, top lane again. It's a lot of action at the very least. And looks like Jakiro once again is going to find the quickest return. That's courtesy of a slight fist in this. No, in fact it was Universe. Just a little paw. Paw connected to a mallet. But immediate smoke up as well coming out from EG. So to keep applying pressure. They've definitely been seeing the tempo of this matchup.
And this might be another death here from Chessie, but unfortunately on the high ground they do get scouts out. The blink is forward there from Universe. And will they actually be able to scout out? There it is. There's the dust once again onto poor little Chessie. And RTZ is on a wicked kill streak. Sure, the gold golf might only show 4,000, but at this point I feel like it's a lot.
It's also just the momentum of the game. I mean, EG are not slowing down at all.
And
it's like that.
15,000.
Oh, we're going to pick another free IO as well for the trouble. So at the moment, EG are just absolutely running away with this game. I want to say that I felt like just going back to that whole lack of relocate that I want to discuss when the Legion Commander went in towards the bottom tier 3. It was really, I feel like they were considering going in with the IO and that they immediately aborted and just left with a free kill and a performance really great. But it's also that length of play has now led to 30 racks on the fire.
Unfortunately, the side of Complexity can't really do much. They're actually trying to go here onto the Lone Druid. Lone Druid might get blown up. Unfortunately, Tiny, well, he just blinks in. He gets a good stun combo off, and that's one hero that can still put out a lot of damage for the side of Complexity, but it might not be enough. They got the tier 3 tower. This, of course, does get... Oh, he screws up, and... Well, is there going to be a duel? There's the duel. I don't know. Sure, there's a couple of kills now going the way of Complexity, but have a look. It's 4,000 net worth in favor of EG. Nearly 20,000 experience lead in favor of EG. The big point here is Tiny can attack buildings or do a lot of damage to buildings and very fast. So whenever they get a couple of kills like this, Tiny's just going to make a beeline towards the racks, and this is the only way that they can possibly win. The problem is there's a glyph up here, and here's the boats. Are we going to see any kind of counter engage coming through? There is no Magnus, no RP just yet. They still have quite a bit of damage here, but the Everswitch constantly putting out, growing up, and are we going to see him dropping any further? He's being healed up a little bit here from Z3 in on towards backline. He does blink away just to make sure that he's okay, and this is actually
okay. Yeah, this is painful. Goodbye.
No buyback
some
up on
Tiny.
Magnus. That's the problem here, and they will just back off. Are they going to be able to get any kind of counter kill here? Smell is running in. Can he actually do anything? He gets frozen up right now here by the Ice Ball, and Chessie might get a bit of trouble. Is there any kind of stun? No. I'm saying a free lane of racks. That wasn't actually a free lane of racks, but still, well, him is going in onto Universe. Universe, unfortunately, he's extremely low. Now they want to go in. They turn around onto the Jakiro. Jakiro does get used up into the air, but he will drop. He's going to get the final kill onto that. It is going to be Sumail gets that kill, and they want to go in for more. They want to try and get Z-Freak. They do.
Dire's bottom shrine.
However, they did lose their bottom racks.
Radiant's bottom shrine.
Yeah, that hurts. I think the biggest concern there is how easily it happened in the end. That we know what Tinies can do, but it's always
Tiny
scary
just
to watch,
like
right?
he three-shots any building.
It's just a combination of press the attack and an IO. It's a really quick attack speed that he's going to get out of it. I think there's good opportunity here for EG to make a return play and get a rack of their own. But they've got to make these moments count. The glyph is in fact 4 stars also, so it's already going fairly well for them early on.
RTG currently doing a bit of damage. He is X'd up right now, being tossed up here from Limp, but instantly X back. Now they want to turn around, they want to go in onto Limp. This Q unfortunately misses, but Limp is still in a lot of trouble. The ultimate coming through here from Fear as well. It just blows him up. There is buyback up here on the side of Kiev, so they have to be careful, but this is going to be a full lane of racks down for the side of EG, and are they going to be able to get more? There's a buyback coming through here from Tiny. Can they counter engage with this? There's a duel coming in. Legion Commander will actually get this for once. No, they barely gets it. They do manage to get the kill, of course, onto RTG. They want more. Fear's in a lot of trouble. He does, of course, shield himself up, but it's not going to be enough. One more right click needed. So 2 heroes down, and hey, they got the racks. It's a racks for racks. This game is still completely open.
Yeah, just the fact that you can deal so much damage with the Tiny onto the structures is absolutely huge for them, because if they win any team fight and any hero doesn't have buyback, they can just do so much damage, even if they just accept it. I mean, I want to say chip damage, but like thump damage. They get so much damage up very, very quickly. But this is also really nice movement from them as well. I think a lot of
damage, it is chunk damage.
Yeah. But also nice for them to pick up the Aegis as well. Obviously, Tiny is also one of those. I mean, you often see a lot of carries that suffer when they die and they lose the form, like things like Terror Blades or anything like that. So Tiny's also a pretty decent Aegis carrier as well.
Shadow Fiend, Souls, etc., etc., etc. Well, this game is still completely wide open. Complexity, you know, proving me wrong. I actually thought EG had this game, but the problem is Tiny. I mean, this was a full HP shrine, I think, and Tiny just like 3 shots at it, or 4 shots at it, 5 shots at it. He just does so much damage to buildings. The big thing is if EG can blow up Limp right now, Limp does not have buyback. Yeah, and Limp is the main source of damage currently, because Legion Commander only has 74 dual victory damage, and that's, you know, this is at 36 minutes in. It's not been the easiest game for the Legion Commander.
Yeah, he certainly has had a hard. I think we didn't really see the game play out the way I imagine coL expected to, where you had this hero that can lock something down in the lane, you get the IO Tiny combination come in and just feed up your LC. But he's getting more out of this as well, just in the pressed attack. Because every time you watch it, it's scary to see. And once again, you have to remember you also have the IO overcharge connected to that as well. So Limp can really do a lot of damage very, very quickly, and he's got 2 players around him that can support him in doing so. It looks like we're going to see these 2 sides potentially tussle again. coL has been sacrificial lamb, is up there again.
Yep, coL actually gets... Nope, he doesn't get gone. I honestly think the side of Complexity will just back off. They know that they cannot afford Limp to die right now. And they'll just back off. They farmed up as much as possible. They pushed out the lanes. They got a little bit of control back. And they do have the Aegis as well. So sure, they don't have a buyback, but they do have the Aegis. And this is a full BKB. This is the timing that, you know, Complexity wants. He's going to have a BKB. He's going to have an Aegis of the Immortal. This Tiny is going to be very, very difficult to kill. However, you do still have a Magnus that can RP him, that can try and delay any kind of tactics from the Tiny and make sure that they can actually kill him. And with the likes of the Lone Druid, they do have enough damage, even through the BKB, to blow the Tiny up.
I mean, additionally, if you can just isolate him, you'll have the same results. It's pretty easy to kill the hero by himself twice. Yep. Even with the BKB, to be fair. But it's unlikely they'll find something easy opportunity to do that. But I'm just really curious to see how coL responds to this, because they do have the Aegis, but as you said, if he dies, they probably just lose.
If he dies twice.
Yeah, exactly. If he's down for the count, if he's down for that 4 minutes that's remaining on his buyback. But one thing for certain, it's going to be pretty interesting if these 2 sides get into a bit of a base race here, because you obviously have a lot of...
You have a Lone Druid versus a Tiny, basically.
Yeah, although this is the loneliest Druid, right? So it's you're not going to expect the bear itself to be doing, or rather the Spirit Bear to be doing a lot of damage.
Very true.
But it's still a hero that attacks very quickly and has the range to put a lot of damage out onto. Okay, goodbye. Yep. There was an IO there.
Yeah, really was it? It did not look that way. I just saw like balls popping and a little portal just dying there. saying his like last breath, saying goodbye to the world.
It was a sad, lonely death in the end.
Yeah, like Portal. Wait, what?
Fountain, which my matriarch will prize.
I was going to say something we haven't mentioned, but it's certainly worth mentioning as well. Chessie also has a cheese up on him, so he's been caught out a couple of times by these fairly lonely deaths, where he's been caught out by a couple of players. So if that does happen again, he potentially could consider popping BKB in the field. Now it's time to see if he does it.
Engagement here, Chessie does pop his BKB. He wants to go in forward. They actually want to try and do anything right now. And here comes Tiny. He does manage to actually get a stun off. Well, there's the toss coming in right now. Trying to go onto the Magnus, but the Magnus does get the RP off onto 2 heroes. And he will actually be able to get out of that one alive. Chessie once again in the backline has dropped. And this is going to be very problematic here for Limp. He is still the only person here. And sure, he has Aegis, but no one else, none of his teammates is there, and he's still going in. He actually nearly manages to get a kill there. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. The X actually brought him back, and here comes the Wisp. The Wisp relocate is going to be coming in. The Blink is forward here from Limp. Limp does manage to get the kill onto Arteezy, and Z-Freak coming in as well. Unfortunately, the Torrent managing to get the kill, but it is going to be Lethal Commander getting the duel off. It is going to be a duel victory. This fight, all of a sudden, going in the way of Complexity, and they might just decide to push forward from this.
By the way, coL won't know this, but there's no buyback on the Ember Spirit either.
Oh no! Chief of God recipe was bought. Is that if the recipe wasn't bought, he would have had buyback. Sumail, no.
It could be pretty huge here as well. They may respect this enough to back off, because there is buybacks, and as you can see, the Lone Druid and the Magnus are now back in the fray.
Maybe they just, well, keep in mind, there's also no buyback up from the Tiny, so this might just be, you know, one final pair of the Yule Scepters just constantly being thrown all over the place. Jakiro is actually going to be the first person, or the only person, to drop from this, and they will decide to back off.
Also had the gem, so it's a nice pick up from them as well. I mean, at the moment, the boarding situation isn't terrible for them anyways. They have quite a few wards up already. They can see what's going on the map, and obviously there's a couple of Shadow Blades running around, so they'll happily accept that gem. But I mean, the big thing there as well is that obviously we saw that coL were not keen on just going in for that fight. We had the Magnus who hadn't used his RP yet, so he was pretty much coming back at full tilt, and so it's me hadn't in fact used his RP, but he was, you know, buying back into the fight, was quite keen to get involved, and they respected it. But had they known that there was no chance for the Ember Spirit coming back, probably would have seen a very different response from them.
Yeah, they probably just would have, you know, got balls to the wall with the Tiny there. You know, tried to get a pick off, tried to get at least a tier, well, a second lane of racks. To be honest, I actually think EG are very fortunate here because, you know, Sumail not having buyback there with the likes of the Tiny that can 3-4 shot buildings. But let's have a look. EG want to move forward again. They do have a gem up, they do have a Blink Dagger as well as RP. Everything is ready for the side of EG. And Complexity know that. They're like, nope, we're going to stay in base. We're going to chill right here. We're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the buyback available, and in 1 second there we go, now back in line, so he'll get a little bit more confident about fighting through this one. He is also looking for that butterfly as well, so he would love to be able to not die and fight himself, but a little bit of, at least a reassurance from him that you won't be out of this game should you die again.
Buyback is available for the Tiny right now. Yeah.
Still nothing on the Ember Spirit though, so I'd be surprised if the, I mean, you can see him actually in the top lane, he's going to farm this out and then he'll be keen to fight again. No Aegis, it's old-fashioned, just brawl. Sideline, they do in fact catch a crit.
Some kind of engagement going here onto the Kunkka right now. Kunkka might be in a bit of trouble, but there comes the RP onto 2 heroes right now. This might be disastrous for the side of Complexity. Unfortunately, they don't manage to actually get the kill. Here comes Lip. He is Yule Scepter up. Can he actually do anything about this? The stun is there. He's trying to turn around to go onto Sumail, but he can't actually do enough damage. They do manage to blink away, and the ultimate Chain Frost flying through, hitting onto Lip. It's 2 heroes down here for the side of Complexity. Not much more happening. I did hear, was that a duel?
Backline, Moo's in trouble.
Yeah, well, he's just going straight in. He doesn't really care at this point, but does he have buyback? That's the problem. It is everyone dying here except for the Bloodseeker and Limp. Limp does toss it back, but everyone on, oh, there you go. That's exactly what I was worried about. Bloodseeker coming in, but unfortunately he dies as well, getting a triple kill up on Arteezy. This fight is just extremely all over the place. The buyback is there from the Tiny now as well. Buyback is coming through here from Chelsea, but Chelsea can't really do much. EG might have just brought this entire game back from, to be honest, the brink of defeat.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say they were the team that you would expect to lose this game. It was just a little bit scary for them when you found this position where you didn't have the buyback, and there's just such a huge amount of damage output coming from the Tiny. But they've done very well here. Obviously, with the buybacks, there's now quite heavily in the favor. They now have it on the Embers, where they have a 10k lead, which at 44 minutes isn't a big deal. But
they have 0 buybacks up on Complexity.
Yeah, that, and they're going to be fighting to an Aegis as well. And I don't see Complexity trying to contest this without the LC. It's only back in 20 seconds, so that's probably the end of that Roche on life. And then of course it also comes back to the cheese, so EG in a very strong position at the moment.
So let's quickly have a look here. My problem, or my thing is, I think Complexity would have been in a much better position if they had any other hero other than Bloodseeker. The Bloodseeker just felt extremely underwhelming for me this entire game. Currently sitting below the LC in regards with net worth as well. Bloodseeker is not a hero that you ever want to be playing from behind. He doesn't farm as well. Of course he has blood rights, etc. But he's not a hero that can catch up as easily with farm. For example, like a Tiny can, like a Legion Commander can, etc.
Yeah, I think Chelsea just, he had a really nice little start. I mean, if you recall, very early on he picked up that double kill behind the, I wouldn't say quite behind the Tier Tower mid, but he was right there picking up 2 kills early on, and he looked like he was in a pretty decent position to have a good start, but he has been shut down very well. And I gotta say, I almost feel like it's just because of, I wouldn't say slow time in his BKB, but rather just like he didn't quite have it when he needed it. It was just slightly behind where he was in a position where he was tanking all these gangs, and had he had the BKB, he could just reduce so much damage and potentially allow himself
coming up from EG. Will they actually be able to catch out Chelsea again? They were extremely close, but luckily there was a ward placed here for the side of Complexity, and I think they saw the Arcane Rune being picked up. Once again, guys, if you go in for ganks, don't pick up ruins, because if there's a ward, you get scouted.
Radiant's top shrine is under
This could have actually gone very bad for the side of Complexity if they did not have the vision up there. But EG, they just want to push up forward right now. They want to sort of just starve out the entire side of Complexity, not allow them to move anywhere, and sort of try and get them to force a fight, get them to overextend, get them to jump on, and then you'll probably see Universe blinking in with RP, or just breaking in, getting a skewer first, and then RPing. But let's have a look and see Arteezy busy doing quite a bit of damage here onto the Tier 3 tower right now, and there's Limp right now getting a stun as well as a toss onto Arteezy. Arteezy might be in a lot of trouble. Here comes a duel. It is actually going to be onto him, but the Coco Rump keeping Arteezy alive. They have not managed to kill Arteezy just yet. He is surviving everything as well as the kitchen sink. Only dying right now, another one to turn. However, everyone is on such low life here from the side of Complexity. You have to be very careful because Mel is just doing so much damage, getting the series chains off time after time after time. And he wants to blink in for it. He will have his blink in, and they do actually not manage. Well, they managed to get the kill onto the Bloodseeker there. However, Universe, he might be in a bit of trouble right now. Limp is the last hope here. He's just getting thrown in the air. He's getting lifted up. He's getting whacked. He's getting gone on completely. And now he's going to get brought back as well. Unfortunately, well, he manages to throw them out again. They're just kiting this Tiny so well. The Yule Scepters, the Torrents, the stuns. Limp probably gets like 3 shots off in an entire team. But those 3 shots hurt a lot.
So, I'm interested to see what happens here with this bottom lane, right? Because you'll notice that Smel's been keeping a close eye on it, making sure this doesn't push forward. Because I'm pretty sure if that lane pushes in and you relocate with Tiny at this point, you'll just take down that Tier 3 and do it twice, and you have yourself some racks. But it's a little bit of unfortunate position for coL, where they were desperate to really win that fight very quickly, because once they brought down the Lone Druid, he was down for 100 seconds and then some. So it was like, that's just a wonderful opportunity to go forward and like really create some havoc. But unfortunately for them, the fight was just really messy, and they weren't able to capitalize as quickly as they would have wanted to. And in the end, even though they had such a long duration on the kill and the lone druid, they just weren't in a position to capitalize in any way.
Yep. And EG know exactly that, of course, they've lost their bottom rank. They have to keep their bottom lane pushed up because, as you stated, if there's any kind of creeps towards the side of EG's base, it's just going to be a relocate in, smash the tower, and then they'll get out. So keeping this bottom lane pushed in the whole time is going to be key for the side of EG. Now that it's pushed in, they can try and go for kills. They have caught out coL at this point. coL does get a good frost, good ice block down to try and slow any kind of push coming forward. And how is he still alive?
I think just respect. I think EG just realized that if they chased for longer, it would have been a bit dangerous. They didn't really know the positioning of the rest of the coL players, and obviously there's still quite a bit of burst damage that can come out. I mean, if you look at him, this man's hitting fast and he's hitting hard by nature of his hero. He's got the moonshot up, so he can really crush anybody that's caught out in a bad position. It looks like they're going to fake back and go with the smoke again and start hitting towards him, and they know exactly where the pings are coming out like crazy.
There's the Invis up on Universe right now. He's busy moving forward. Can he actually get a good 3-man RP? That was a perfect chance. But unfortunately, no, Universe gets caught out. He uses his RP. It gets whipped completely. Now the one to turn around. The Ice Force macro power onto 2 heroes. The one to get the kill onto Universe. The stun is there. The toss. Universe is down. Now it's Fear. Limp is busy hitting onto Fear. He's busy hitting onto everyone. He pops his BKB. He gets a toss off. Will he be able to get the kill onto Crit? He does. This is Limp versus the world. Can they actually get the kill onto Sumail? No! Limp is dead. Sumail also drops as well. And now, there it goes. Legion Commander gets the duel off. And the buyback is there from Sumail, trying to come in, push forward. This fight was literally Limp versus the world, but Limp is dead right now.
He's dead for a long time.
He doesn't have buyback.
Yeah, this is a very likely game. And they're going to catch on Mu as well. He's probably brought down here. And Ice Path does help him out. Will in fact try, but he walks straight into RTS. And if try and finish the job, will be able to do so. Does get the immediate buyback
now as well. The amount of damage though that Ortiz is doing just with these right clicks is ridiculous. Complexity aren't calling this. They're trying to delay this as much as possible. They know that, of course, you know, EG have also used a lot of buybacks at this point. They can try and delay this a little bit, but you know, it's still 70 seconds. However, bottom lane is actually pushing up, and there you go, all the way back to bottom lane. Sumail, does he have a remnant down? Nope, I don't see a remnant down towards bot. So Complexity actually survive another day.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you see Tiny's just off buybacks. They may have taken that number down and thought, okay, this guy could potentially come back in any second if we commit to this Rax. They do get the fortification out at the very least, so although the Rax aren't down, that does give them a clean shot at them. And it's definitely a battle one. There's still the cheese up on the lone druid as well, so he's a really difficult target to bring down with that butterfly and satanic. Oh, and DD. Okay, well, this is a pretty good opportunity for them right here.
Well, 25 seconds and then the Tiny is back. I mean, what's this Bloodseeker building for next? Level 2 Diffusal Blade, that could actually work just to slow down the likes of Sumail, to slow down the likes of Arteezy, to actually purge them, to make them, you know, just not be able to kite the Tiny that much. What other items can you actually see that this Bloodseeker can pick up that will have a big impact in this game?
I mean, I think once you start reaching the 60-minute mark, just crazy things happen, right? So, you know, you kind of need to look at what things are really affecting you. And
minus 7-second Blood Rite cooldown is nearly there for the Bloodseeker, and that's actually big.
It's definitely quite irritating, especially with the lower charges of the likes of the TV. And no one here is rocking a Mantis, so you don't get that get out of jail free card from the silencers. And even then, as you mentioned, the cooldown's really, really low. But I think as far as item selection goes, if you're a Bloodseeker, it's quite a challenging position to be in. You obviously want to get that diffusion up at some point, just to get the extra charges. Probably more important than the damage or the mana burn at this point. However, it's going to reach the point where it's kind of weird to say, but it's really more about your skills and how you're going to use them. That's going to win you these team fights now, because everyone is strong at this point. You know, everyone's got a lot of items, and everyone is difficult to deal with and has the ability to put out damage. I mean, I think if you just looked at the Lich in the last fight, although he's pretty much rocking a 4-staff and some tranquil boots up in the pipe, which is really defensive, his ultimate was really frustrating. It just bounced around a lot and just was frustrating to deal with. I think it's probably the best way. It's a bit of it zoned them. It kept them from just dealing consistent damage. And
you know, sorry to interrupt you. The only reason why EG won that last fight was because of the buyback on Sumail. However, Sumail now doesn't have buyback. Limp doesn't have buyback. Sure,
the only buyback in the game is on the Lone Druid.
Yeah, and Lone Druid doesn't have Boots of Travel up. Lone Druid does have a Satanic up. That's actually quite big. But
he is really hard to bring down. I mean, it's so you know, as far as Theory Croc goes, he pops his Satanic and he gets a life. I mean, obviously can just be CC'd, so let's be fair about it. But let's say he gets off a free rain on just being rocking in the Satanic. He dies.
There's
but
a smoke
not really
up here,
because he
so
pops
if
the
I do
cheese.
interrupt you, it is because there is some kind of engagement happening.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And it might actually be here onto Limp. Limp is pushing out all by himself. Will they actually be able to catch out anyone? Magnus gets a good RP off. It's actually only onto one kill right now. The Wisp is in a lot of trouble, but there's a BKB from Limp. He won't manage to get the kill onto the Magnus. No, he actually won't. Magnus survives that. No one has dropped except for the Wisp at this point, and there you go. coL is going to be the next casualty of war. He does manage to get out of that one as well, so it's a 1-for-0 trade-off at this point. Magnus somehow surviving that, and 2-for-1. Jakiro did drop. I actually thought the Magnus died. No idea how Magnus got out of it. And this might be, well, yeah, I think in a lot of trouble at this point. He can actually hit people from that range, but there you go. Lone Druid's just going to stand on high ground, and this might just be it. Yeah. Arteezy getting that kill, and now they're just going to push up towards the top lane. There's no buyback. No, buyback is actually available on the Tiny right now, so Tiny did put, I think that literally just came off cooldown at that point. And with the level 25 up here for the Bloodseeker, he's just constantly going to be spamming out the Blood Rite, delaying any kind of creep wave movement. He'll technically be able to, there's like a 2-second delay from when the Blood Rite pops to when he can actually cast it again. Halberd, are you still with me? I think Halberd might have disconnected there. We'll just give him a couple of minutes to actually come back in. It is going to be... Later. This is going to be rushed up here for EG, and it is going in favor of Arteezy. Where's the cheese? Cheese is going to be given to Sumail, most likely. Yes. Let's have a look at this top lane. I mean, if the Tiny actually dies here, this will be the end of the game. He did buy back. They did not get anything back from this, so it is going to be very difficult for them to try and do anything. However, there's a TP back all the way onto the shrine. It is, of course, going to be the Ember Spirit. He does have a Fire Remnant down if he needs to move all the way back up to the top. So let's have a look here. Top lane still being pushed out. That is a Cliff Fuse as well. Tier 3 tower has fallen. Now it's just going to be Arteezy. Busy hammering down onto the Tier 3, well, onto the top lane racks. And unfortunately, they will be able to get the kill onto the Lone Druid. No Lone Druid. There you go. There's the Satanic. He actually manages to heal himself up all the way back. Limp, he's in a lot of trouble. He does use his BKB, and this is the end of Limp. They do not have buyback up on the Tiny, and it's going to be, well, Defreak manages to relocate himself out of that. There's a duel coming in towards the back line. Legion Commander does manage to actually get the victory on that. No GGs have been called just yet. It is Moo at this point. Moo's trying to do as much as he can. He's trying to do everything, but Crit is just doing way too much damage. I'm not Crit. Arteezy is just doing way too much damage. This might just be GG. GG well played being called there. Team Albert, welcome back to the end of the game. Evil Genius literally just now won. Surprise, surprise.